Hello, welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, and the holidays are now over. We're in a new year, and we're continuing what we've been doing the last year or so of looking at what the best games I played this year, or I first played this year. So every game in this top 10 I played for the first time in 2024, but it doesn't mean they were all released in 2024. And it's obviously only what's in my library and what's played. It's not my best games of 2024. It's what I personally have played and what I think. And therefore, there is no Black Myth Wukong on this list. I haven't yet played that game. It hasn't been on a big sale. So, well, maybe 2025 for that one. So, without further ado, let's take a look at what my best games that I first played in 2024 are. So the first Descendant then in at number 10, and it is at the bottom of the top 10. So for clarity, I haven't played Destiny. I haven't played Warframe. So this is me playing this type of game for the first time, given I haven't played those other ones, which I know everybody says are better, or a lot of people say are better. But the first Descendant, it came out this year. I had an absolute blast. I love the game. Graphically, it looked absolutely amazing. The gameplay, the actual movement felt very smooth, along with the grappling mechanic, and I actually really enjoyed playing through the game. I put close to 100 hours into the game when it came out. Some of the missions got a bit repetitive, but that wasn't too bad, and there were plenty of players playing the game. So overall, I felt it was a great game. I certainly got my money's worth out of the game. I mean, it's a third-person looter shooter. It's in Unreal 5, and that's probably why it looks so great. But it says Descendants have the unique ability to tackle both solo and co-op missions, and the solo missions are absolutely fine. And a couple of months ago, I tried to go back in to play more of the first Descendant. And one of the issues comes with those co-op 4-player missions. It's got a matchmaker in it, so that you can go, I want to go and do this 4-player mission, and you basically put yourself in a queue and you wait for it to sign you up with 3 other players. The problem is that if you're not up with the very furthest meta of people that are still playing the game, and you're coming back into it, there's nobody playing and doing the missions that you want to do. So the queue took quite some time, but it does kind of like time out, and it put me in a group with one other player. So we only had 2 of us try and do 4-man content, and a funny old thing, we weren't able to do it, and my gear is not fully optimized because I don't have all the bits that I need to make it fully optimized. So It's in a bit of a problem right now, the game. You can certainly see on the Steam charts, it's actually massively dropped off. They're in season 2 now. And like I say, I really actually do want to play more of this game. The story itself is bad, no bones about it. So a lot of people say it's quite a shallow game. But, a lot of it is, a game that has good gameplay can keep you playing. And it certainly kept me playing for a lot. And I really stopped playing after we'd completed all the bosses. We got to level 100 and we were then going after getting the very specific niche bits of gear. And I went on to play other games, Once Human being one of them. So overall, like I say, I think I actually had a blast playing this game. I put a lot of time into this game. I think it's a shame where it is now, because I think it had huge potential as a game. I think the Descendants themselves, they look great, Bunny, but they have such great mechanics. I definitely felt they were unique. The way Bunny's mechanic was unique. I was an Ajax player, but I did get to play most of the Descendants and max level them. So, I do think, that the game itself had huge potential. Smooth gameplay, great looking, unique characters who look great. So overall, it's just a shame. The story could have been better. The missions could have been less repetitive. But my main issue with the game is that you kind of reach a ceiling of casual solo play to the point where you need group play in the game, and the rest of the game is now group play, and I can't get a group. So I can't match make with a group to be able to do that. So yeah, if you're in a clan or you got a group of friends or something like that you can play all the time, you'll have no problem. But a lot of people that sort of like myself we're not averse to being in a group, but we don't have the time to commit to being in a clan or anything else. So we want to join the game as a solo player, join a group that is thrown together, a pickup group or something like that, and then go play the game. I'm just not getting those pickup groups, and that's a real shame. So there you go, number 10, The First Descendant.
The greatest temptation is trying to control something we do not fully understand. But what do we do when faced with truly inexplicable? Some tear it up to make souvenirs. Others keep it chained up inside a perimeter cage. Perhaps all the zone really needs is our compassion.
Yevhen Martinenko, 25 years old. Born in a small town, loved a good book, but preferred a good fight.
They took something precious from you.
Yes.
In your search for the truth, you had the courage to enter this zone.
And then, what happens? A tragedy most horrible, or a joy most profound?
What if the scanner gets damaged in the fighting? These are not stalkers, but former monolithians.
Some come to the zone to make money. Others come looking for miracles. Many just want to find happiness. A way to feel real and alive again.
I'm sure you can handle it. One way or another.
There is nothing you can keep secret. It's just a matter of time.
Name? I'm not looking to make friends. Skiff.
And if we do nothing, houses on the mainland will continue to burn and collapse. If you fight a soldier, you're only fighting yourself.
So, in at number 9, Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. I mean, this game could probably be higher in the list, but it only came out fairly recently. I haven't put nearly enough time that I want to put in this game, and I do intend to do a playthrough on stream at some point. We've got plenty of other things to do in the meantime. Yes, when it came out, on release, it was beset by plenty of bugs, as are most games these days, but the dev team have been pretty responsive in trying to get a lot of those worked out. Overall, this game, I haven't played, say, vast amounts of hours in it, but the time I spent in it was amazing. I can already tell this game is amazing. I've got a great desire to really put some serious amounts of time into the game. I love the mechanics of it. I think the atmosphere of it. I think that's really the thing with Stalker 2 and is the atmosphere of the game, the way it plays, the way it draws you in, the kind of narrative and story, but that's also with the open world elements of it, the factions that are just wandering around that you can encounter, and that they end up fighting each other, and you can join in or you can stay out of it, and so on. Stalker 2, lots more to come of me playing in this game in 2025, but definitely makes it, for me, as one of the best games that I have played during 2024. So, I definitely recommend this one. Currently sitting, most recent reviews are mostly positive, and all reviews very positive. So, and I think that's testament to the fact that devs are doing their best to fix the bugs that are in the game. Let's see what we got next. So then, in at number 8, unique game Core Keeper. So explore a vast cavern of creatures, relics, and resources in a mining sandbox adventure. Mine, build, fight, craft, and farm to unravel the mystery of the ancient core. So this came out 1.0 release during 2024. And at first, I'm not the biggest fan. I won't just jump to pixel games, though I have had some... I played some good ones, Terraria and so on. But I saw this one, and I actually saw Ko and Asmongold playing this one, and I really loved the game. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I do travel a lot. I do have a Steam Deck. It plays great on the Steam Deck as well. I just had a lot of fun. I just felt the game was... you just had a unique feel to it. I like the way it played, the way that you can kind of expand your area when you're expanding the area where you're doing the boss fights and so on. So overall, I felt this was a great game. There's just not anything really bad to say about this game. It's just great fun. And I say, if you are someone that travels and you've got a Steam Deck, this is an absolute. This has got to be one of the games that you put on your Steam Deck, along with things like Vampire Survivors, of course. But this game plays great on the deck, and that's where I've played most of my time in this game, is playing it on the Steam Deck while I've been on planes, trains, hotels, and so on. So, but yeah, thoroughly recommended. Great game, and don't be put off by the pixel graphics. You know, if you've never played those sort of games before, and you're the one that always goes for the latest game with the Unreal Engine graphics or whatever, to gameplay in this, absolutely fantastic. You'll play it and then you'll end up being hooked on it. Absolutely brilliant. Let's see what's in at number 7. So yes, next up is Pal World, and I didn't play this game until this year, or 2024 as we were in. Fight, farm, build, work alongside mysterious creatures called pals. Some people would call them Pokemon, in this new multiplayer open world survival and crafting game. This game surprised the crap out of me. You know, you look at the game and you go, is this kind of the game I want to play? Like, I have played some of the Pokemon games before, but I'm not a huge, Pokemon fan or anything like that. But I do love my survival and crafting games. And do you know what? This game had way more to it than I was expecting. It was an absolute blast. I like this game. I can see myself keep coming back for the updates. It was a recent update at the end of December there, which is the Faybreak one. It's such a fun game, and I say there's just so much to it. And I think that's the thing is, people go, it's Pokemon with guns, but actually there's a lot of depth to the game, because there's just so many different things you can do. There is the building bit, the crafting bit, the going out and the fighting with your pals, the capturing of the different pals, and so on. So it's very positive, all reviews on 304,000, and very positive on the recent reviews as well. Absolute blast playing this game. Really, really fun, thoroughly recommended. And one of those games, again, like you kind of look at it and go, don't be put off, give it a go. And again, you'll probably find yourself hooked on it within the first couple of hours going, I can't put this down. And it will surprise you too. Great fun, thoroughly recommended. And that's why so many people have been playing the game. Sometimes, the games have, big hype, and you play a game and you go, do you know what? I don't get it. I don't get the hype. This one, it was, huge amount of hype about it. I played it and I was hooked. Absolutely. Let's see what's in at number 6.
The rogue trader has fallen. Now I must take up their mantle to restore the dynasty to its former glory, to reclaim what humanity has lost, to venture forth into darkness and bring the light of the Emperor to the uncharted void. Dangerous heretics, vile mutants, and Xenos threats beyond number. All must be cleansed in his name. The choices I make will shape the course of my destiny. And with each haunted step, I wonder, where will my journey end?
So yes, next up, Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Now, whether you're a huge fan of Warhammer 40k or whether you played Baldur's Gate and played CRPGs the first time, or you love CRPGs, this mixes up the two, and hence, yeah, it's a great recipe and delivers an absolutely fantastic game. I do like CRPGs. I love Baldur's Gate 3, but I'm also a huge fan of Warhammer, the Warhammer 40k universe as well. And this game absolutely delivers. It's absolutely brilliant. You've got lots of little Easter eggs in there, depending on what sort of faction in Warhammer 40k that you like. Whether you want Sisters of Battle in there, you got a Space Marine in there, you got Adeptus Mechanicus in there, plus all obviously the bad guys as well. So this is a great game, fun. There's a huge amount of time, as it says there, from IGN. It's a 130-hour space epic. So, it's a long game. It's going to be, that sort of similar time playing through as Baldur's Gate 3. Another game that does actually play nicely on the Steam Deck, though I do prefer to play it on the big screen personally. But this is Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Thoroughly recommended. Absolutely brilliant. And well worth a go. Say particularly if you're either a big fan of Warhammer 40k, maybe you've played Space Marine 2 or something like that, and you've got the Warhammer bug. Well, this is another great game. Or say whether you've played other CRPGs, not tried this one out yet. Definitely worth that 130-hour plus investment. Tons of characters to choose from. And tons of builds as well, so lots of replayability. So could keep you invested for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Right, next up then, we're now on to number 5.
Time for the main event.
Stupid boy. I told you nobody gets out of here.
Yes, carry on, everyone. Don't mind me.
Let's get you from that miserable place.
I'm leaving. Try and stop me.
I always wanted to kill a god. You'll have to do.
The prince himself. You want to talk to me?
How very interesting.
Death approaches.
Oh, thank you, lad. You really oughtn't to have.
Let's have a bat's eye view. 9 to give me strength.
You must have seen by now how all the chambers seem to rearrange themselves. It has been fashioned to prevent escape.
Deal some death.
Wow, what a trailer. So there we go. Hades. Man, I can't believe I just played this game. Like, it's been out since September 17, 2020 as full release, and even Hades 2 is on early access. But my God, I picked up this game. It is a roguelike dungeon crawler, and I played it on the Steam Deck. That's what I bought it for. I bought it to play on the Steam Deck. As I said, I travel a lot. I'm on airplanes and so on. And this game has now absolutely surpassed the hours I've put into Vampire Survivors. It is awesome. I love it. Even the soundtrack they played there through the trailer. I mean, the whole game has a soundtrack like that. Just adds to the really cool atmosphere they've got within the game. As it says, there's just so many different combos to do. The boss fights are fun, and the atmosphere also comes with some great sort of voice acting, voice lines, the interactions. It's just there's just nothing you can say bad about this game. It is just addictive. Like, I'm on the plane and like, you know, and they go, oh, the plane's landing. Normally you have to do like a 6-7 hour flight. You just want the flight to be over. I'm so I just want to finish this. I just want to do another run. Because the game is so great. All the different weapons you get, the different combinations. Oh my God, it's just brilliant. I can't say enough great things about this. You know, I haven't even played Hades 2 because I've been so much enjoying this one, but certainly I will absolutely 100% be picking up Hades 2 as well, and giving that one a go and seeing if it is really as good as the first. And it's got a really high bar to live up to, because this game is just fantastic. And you know, I love when you're playing against Meg. The Bone Hydra is, you know, and the fact that bosses can be different as well. You go and fight Meg, and it's not Meg, it's Electa or someone else. It's brilliant, love it. Fantastic, I'll say, and the soundtrack just adds to it, because like when you're playing that game, you know, it's great. And as I said, this like Vampire Survivors, I said Core Keeper earlier. This also, if you got a Steam Deck, you need this game, right? It's absolutely brilliant, plays amazing. With that said, can we go any further? Right, let's go. Number 4 on our top 10 list of games I first played in 2024.
Where there's coral, there's blood. That's how it's always been, 621. Something's alive. It doesn't die easy. 621. It's time for work.
So in at number 4, Armored Core 6. So the clue is in the intro there. It's made by From Software, and I'm sure for a lot of people, the fact it even says that is going to cause a lot of people just to give this game a go. But can these guys do anything wrong at the moment? From Software, they're absolutely fantastic, and this game is absolutely fantastic. Again, I first played this in 2024. It came out in August 2023, and it's just so much fun. So many customizable options, from the point where you can even go from having legs to tracks on your Armored Core suit. yeah, these things are, it's just so much fun. And as you can imagine, there are some great boss fights and stuff in this. It's very fast paced, very fast action. So I do think when you get into the game, you really got to find, do you prefer the mouse and keyboard, or do you prefer a controller? I think both can work. It just depends on you personally. So yeah, it is definitely fast paced in there, but it just feels so good. Everything moves so well. It's very smooth, and that's the thing. You've got a great looking game. There's a lot going on, but because the gameplay is so tight and so smooth, it just works. And yeah, it's just super, super fun. Great to see Armored Core back, and the way they've brought it back is absolutely outstanding. And I'm sure this game has brought and will continue to bring a lot more people to the Armored Core franchise. So, yeah, thoroughly recommended and absolutely deserving of its number 4 spot in my top 10 list of games I first played in 2024. Let's see, though, as we move into now the top 3.
In his name, I will fight! If we die with vengeance on our lips!
So does this game need any introduction or what? I mean, what a hell of a trailer for one hell of a game. I'm a huge Warhammer fan. You can see I got shelves behind me full of Games Workshop miniatures. I love my Warhammer stuff, and this is the ultimate power fantasy as a Space Marine, and my God, does it deliver. You feel like you have the power of the Space Marine. It just plays so well. The fact you can either do it solo through the campaign, you can do it co-op as well, and it's full of Easter eggs. If you're a Warhammer 40k fan, you're going to go through this game as you go through each area, and you're just going to keep seeing Easter egg after Easter egg after Easter egg of stuff. You go, oh my God, I can't believe that's in the game. Oh, look at that. That's, this weapon, or that's this vehicle, or that's this enemy type, or whatever. I mean, just absolutely fantastic game. Came out in September of 2024. It hit big. Lots of people playing the game. I mean, it does have an element of longevity. So unlike the first Space Marine game we played through the campaign, it was kind of once and done. Yes, you could go back and find like the hidden servo skull things and so on. But this one does have this like 3-player sort of these co-op missions that you can go and do, and you kind of like, almost like leveling up your character, and you kind of got these equivalent type sort of talent tree things. You've got your different classes as well, depending on what you want to be, whether you want to be like assault or whatever, so you can get yourself a jetpack, or you can be like heavy weapons and so on. So you've got all those kind of things in there as well. So, and that's like the continuation. So even once you've finished the campaign, you've then got this continuation of these like 3-player co-op operations. There's also PvP in the game. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the PvP in this game. I have to say it's not for me. I'm still waiting for my Battlefield style Warhammer 40k game, because I just feel like that game needs to happen. But this game absolutely fantastic. It delivers. There was a huge delay on release of the game, and I think it was absolutely the right thing to do, because when this game released, it delivered in spades. It's absolutely awesome, and it's even it's even been in a sale as well over Christmas, so a bit cheaper to pick up. So I expect it to come out in more sales on Steam in the future. But yeah, I mean, if you've ever had a power fantasy about you've played Warhammer and you see these Space Marines and you kind of like how powerful they are or anything else, play this game and you'll get to feel like what a Space Marine feels like, how powerful he is, what they can do, and that kind of, even it's the whole motion of it, you're wearing this big heavy suit of armor, and the swarm mechanics they've got in this for the Tyranids, absolutely amazing. I believe it was developed from their World War Z game or whatever. But man, does it feel like you've got these hordes and hordes of Tyranids, which is exactly what they do. I mean, they couldn't have picked a better faction to be an enemy for those swarm mechanics. Absolutely awesome. Love this game. Thoroughly deserves to be in the number 3 spot. And recommend anyone to play this game. And if you're a Warhammer 40k guy and you don't have, or person, or guy or girl that's into 40k and you don't have this game, you need to get it. Absolutely. 100%. Let's move in to see what's in second place for my top 10 games I played in 2024. So in number 2 spot, Once Human. So this is the game that I probably have the most hours in playing this year as a game. It's the game certainly that I've probably streamed the most hours of this year, as well as made YouTube videos about. Came out in July of 2024. And what doesn't this game have? It's a survival game with hunger and thirst, and in the new scenario, Way of Winter, you've got heat and cold mechanics. You've got a sanity mechanic, so that's your survival element. You've got your building and crafting. You can build an entire base, and it's hugely flexible about what you can build. There's tons of cosmetics. You can make guns and stuff over it. You can make a cool looking house. There's just so much to the building system, and then there's a whole crafting system in that. And in fact, a lot of the progression in the game is through the blueprint crafting piece with your gear and your weapons. And then on top of that, we've got a Pokemon style mechanic where you're going around and you're capturing these deviants, and the deviants have different levels, so you can get, you have to farm them a little bit to get a higher level one. But those deviants do all sorts of things where they can help you in your base, whether it's the grow shroom helping your crops, whether it's the tar pudding who's getting you oil, or whatever it happens to be. But you can get these sort of ones that do help around the base, ones that actually bring in materials. There's also ones that help you in combat. So I used the lone wolf one, for example, so he can go out and he can tank an enemy while I'm shooting at it. You've got other ones which produce certain materials which you can then use as consumables, for example. There's even one that produces materials to make a transformation cookie where you can turn yourself into a pot plant or something like that. So you've got that element to it. Then you've got the whole looter shooter, which is what the game is, right? It's running around, it's doing strongholds, you kill enemies, and as you go through, you're looting everything, and of course that gives you all the materials and all the things you need to increase or to build the stuff you need, craft the gear you need, and progress up through to your maximum level and maximum tier of gear, tier 5. So you've got that whole looter shooter element to it. But then on top of that, you've got sort of a dungeon element to it where you do these silos where you can go in and you can go in with a group and you can change it from normal mode to hard to pro mode, and it's basically it becomes like a dungeon. Then you go in and you have to go and defeat normal enemies until you meet the boss at the end. And then on top of that, you've got these kind of almost raid bosses which are in a dungeon. So you've got these big bosses again, normal, hard, and pro. 4 players go in, up to 4 players. You can do it solo, so normal mode easily soloable, and then as it goes up, pro mode, certainly I'm not going to be doing it solo. I'm sure there's someone out there that's going to be able to do it, but really needs 4 players. And that's kind of the only sticky bit for me. I wish there was kind of like a matchmaking system. I play the game solo PvE. There is a PvP element. There's PvP servers as well. But I do play the game as solo PvE. But as a solo PvEer, I'm not against joining a group to do group content. I just don't want to be in a warband or a hive. I don't want that commitment. I don't have time for that type of commitment. What I want is the ability to go in a matchmaking thing. There is some kind of sort of matchmaking elements in the game where people can kind of almost advertise groups on a board, or most of the time they don't really use that so much, tends to be in chat, so you have to be quite active in chat to do that group content. And then on top of that, in some of them, like in the new Way of Winter, there's kind of like these world boss things, these Chaos Weavers that are running around the place that you have to take down, as well as Prime Wars and things which take place in Manibus. There's currently a bunch of different scenarios. You've got Manibus, which was the first scenario. That's my favourite as a solo PvE. That's my favourite. I've done Manibus scenario 4 times. There's the Way of Winter scenario, which is the newest of the PvE. And then you've got like the Prismverse, which tends to be PvP focused and so on, which I don't tend to do. But there is a whole PvP element to the game. So yeah, what doesn't this game have? And then on top of that, just to wrap it all up in how great this game is, it's free to play. It is 100% free to play. You don't need to drop a dime on this game. It is absolutely amazing to me. And then you go, okay, hang on a minute. Free to play, how are they making the money? Is there a pay to win element? Absolutely not. There is no pay to win elements in this game. Everything that you spend real money on is cosmetics. Now, are they going to be able to maintain that? It's going to be interesting to see. But the game has been out, say, since July. There's been no change in that so far. They're continuing to update the game all the time. It's retained a pretty reasonable player base. I went into my new Manibus season. I say it's the 4th time I've been in it. And it's full. I mean, the servers, there's player bases everywhere. I see players everywhere. I see people farming in the final areas where I am because I'm in phase 4. So it's really busy. So I think it goes to show there's still a lot of people playing the game. It's definitely retained the players. So yeah, the only thing that you can spend money on is cosmetics. There's a battle pass, but the battle pass only gives you cosmetics. Yeah, you can get a tiny bit of Starcrom from it, but to be honest, most of the stuff that you can get that's usable in the game as consumables or whatever is in the free element of the battle pass, because there's 2 elements. There's a free battle pass and then there's the paid for battle pass. And if you were to spend any money on the game, there's no doubt the battle pass, in my view, offers the best value. Now, it is seasonal, so every season your stuff is going to be wiped. Now, you do retain your weapon and gear blueprints and the levels those blueprints are at. You also do retain your premium currencies, which you use to buy blueprints or upgrade them and so on. So your premium currencies in the game will stay. Anything, of course, cosmetics you buy also stays. But your character then, when it joins a new scenario, starts at level 1. You've got to start crafting all that stuff over. At first, having come out of MMOs, I was concerned about that. But actually, having played the game, having played Manibus 4 times, yes, it's getting a bit samey. I think we're definitely at a point where, like, Way of Winter was supposed to break that. And I went into Way of Winter, and for me, it didn't work. I found Way of Winter not the best for a PvE solo player. If you're in a hive or in a warband, Way of Winter, absolutely fine. but for a PvE solo player, Manibus is definitely the one. So it'd be great to have another Manibus style scenario. Hopefully we're going to see more of that this year. They've also talked, there's a huge actually update in terms of what their yearly plans are. So the devs absolutely committed to this game, absolutely committed to getting, keeping players, bringing back players into the game. The latest thing is going to be this vision wheel. So it's like you can do scenarios in different challenges. So you can either do it in normal mode or hard mode. Well, hard mode is now gone, and they're putting this new mechanic in, which is actually going to change kind of how the scenario plays. The first one's some sort of blood moon mechanic thing, from what I've read, where you go in and at night the blood moon comes out and enemies are harder, and there's like a sanity mechanic, but the lower your sanity is, the better rewards you get, and all this type of stuff. So it's definitely a harder mode, but it's different from just increasing boss health and boss damage. Right, which, to be honest, when you have games that just go, we're going to make the game harder, we're just going to increase the boss health and the boss damage, or the mob health, mob damage, it's pretty basic, right? But when you start to introduce new mechanics which make the game harder, that can be really interesting and real fun. So yeah, as you can tell, I absolutely love this game. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's free to play, so why not give it a go? Right, it's not going to cost you a penny to go into it. So absolutely, give this game a go. I think you'll love it. And you can play the game how you want. If you want to be a PvP, you can. If you want to do PvE, you can. If you just want to focus on base building and all that cool stuff, and you can do some really cool base builds in the game, you can. If you just want to run around and collect these deviant pets and get the full collection and max level them, you can. So for me, it really does offer that opportunity. You don't have to do every part of the game and the bits you don't like in the game to enjoy it. So yeah, absolutely, 100%, thoroughly recommend this game. And when you see number one, you realize why this game didn't quite make number one, but this is my most played game of the year by some margin. Let's take a look at what's at number one, and I don't think it'll surprise too many people.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another. The continuation of life must be protected at all costs. Some have said, my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice. We are faced with the end, and I will do what I must. Those who obsess with death, let them soon be acquainted with it.
Okay, we finally reached the first game, the number one of the top 10. Is it any surprise? Maybe it is a surprise to some people because this game released right at the back end of the year. It is also only in early access. It'll be in early access for 6 to 12 months, so fully releasing next year. But I can tell you right now, this game has me 100% hooked. Path of Exile 2, absolutely amazing. I mean, and I think it's testament to how eagerly anticipated this game was. On launch day, there were over 1 million people watching this live on Twitch. There was estimated to be close to 1 million people on all platforms, whether it's console, whether it's the individual launcher. There was at least over 500,000 people on Steam alone. You know, I don't even play on Steam. I'm on the original launcher. So, yeah, it absolutely crazy.
This, you know.
Yeah, it's just, what can you say about this game? It is everything about it absolutely amazing. You can see the time, effort, and love that's been put into the game. The quick reaction of the devs to the feedback. This game's in early access for a reason. They're getting feedback from the players, and they're responding to that feedback incredibly quickly. But for me, they're not being heavy-handed about it. It's very easy for there to be knee-jerk reactions. Oh, look, there's a feedback from the community. They make some massive change. For me, the changes are very tempered, which is great. And it's great to see in the early access as they kind of finding their way through the point where they get to the full release. You know, this game is so big and so great right now, and it's only got 3 acts, only half a game, right? We've got another 3 acts to come. We've got way more classes to come, way more ascendancies to come. So there's still a huge amount that we're going to see on release. I'd be amazed if this game is not my most played game of 2025. There's going to have to be something outstanding in 2025 to make this not my most played game. There's everything you can imagine to it. It's got one of the best character selection screens I've seen. Like how they do the character selection, absolutely fantastic. It plays really well. It plays smooth. I love the interaction with the abilities, and it is way more new player friendly. Like I just dabbled a toe into Path of Exile 1, and it was very late in its. In fact, it was only last year, right? So, and it was pretty hard to get into. This is worlds apart. It is a different game. It plays differently as well. This doesn't even play like Path of Exile 1. So it's a very different game. It's kind of a slower, more measured game. I think some people would compare it a little bit to something like No Rest for the Wicked in that regard. Some people have said it's got Souls-like. It's like a Souls isometric Souls-like type game, which is, yeah, absolutely, I could buy into that as well. But it just the flexibility is it's much easier as a new player to get to grips with it. Again, you look at that talent tree and you're going, holy moly, like how am I going to choose my skills? But actually it becomes quite intuitive, I think, as to, I want to focus on building up my shield, I want to focus on my bow skills or my lightning damage or whatever. And of course, it's got the search box at the top, so you can just type it in the search box, and it highlights the nodes that you want to use. So all these little things that go into helping a new player get into a game which is incredibly deep, incredibly complex, easy to get into, incredibly hard to master without a doubt, but super fun at the same time. And certainly I don't think, while all these guides out there are great for character creation, I really don't think it's as needed, right? There's a lot of flexibility in it. Like your choices aren't, most of them are not ones that you can't then do something about later on. So yeah, I mean, absolutely amazing. I'm loving playing with most of the classes I've played now. I've played the Ranger, I've played the Witch, I've played the Mercenary and the Sorceress. I found the Sorceress easier in the earlier game into Act 1, but I do really enjoy the Ranger as well. But overall, yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic game. Absolutely deserves to be number one. It's obviously not my most played game because it came out right at the back end of the year. And so Once Human actually has that title, as we said, of most played game. But as I thoroughly 100% believe this is going to be my most played game during 2025. And when it comes out on full release, and bearing in mind again, so while it was $30 to get into this game for early access, this game is going to be free to play on release. 100% free to play on release. I think this game is going to absolutely kick off and pop off even more than it had upon its early access release, with it being free to play, with it being the Acts 4, 5, and 6 introduced into the game, and by then we'll have all 6 classes and all the 3 ascendancies for each class as well. Going to be absolutely insane. And I can't say any more about this game. It's like you just keep going on about it. It's just how great it is. There's so many different mobs in the game, but it's the bosses. The bosses feel so much different. Every single one. There's tons of these bosses in the game. It says they're like, 600 monsters, 100 bosses. It's like all the bosses I fought, they all feel completely different, but they all feel fun to play against. There's nothing in there. I mean, occasionally, you get one shot by something, but generally it's your mistake. I find the effects and the animations to be pretty visible, compared to something like Diablo. I think the only thing that I'm less keen on is when you've got some crazy big effect, which the animation for it is off screen. So the one thing I kind of feel like the camera maybe just needs to be pulled out a little bit, because when you're fighting a boss, you don't want the animation that is the tell about what the next ability is going to be off screen. And that's just, sometimes that can be a little bit frustrating. So I kind of almost feel like the camera could come out a little bit, at least for boss fights or something. But other than that, I mean, this is all feedback. There's going to be tons more feedback. As I said, it only came out, about a month ago, in fact, 6th of December. So, we've got another, as I said, 6 to 12 months in early access before it's released. Tons of feedback from the community, of which the community is absolutely massive. And the good thing with that is when you've got such a big community, you're getting lots of feedback from all different types of players, not just those either elite players or those that were in some early access beta or something like that, where it's a limited pool. So you're getting lots of feedback to make it way more accessible to all the different types of players there are playing the game. And there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of my top 10 list of games that I first played in 2024. Next up, we're going to take a look at what is on my Steam wish list for 2025 as it currently stands. So keep an eye out for that video coming out very soon. You've been watching The Ghost Owl, and I'll see you all very, very soon.